please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hello, good morning and welcome to Power Breakfast in the Mumbai News Center. I am Anisha Jain and with me is Mangalam Malu. Well, Mangalam, good morning. It looks like the Indian markets have shrugged off all the worries related to trade wars and other geopolitical risks because it's an 8th consecutive session yesterday that our markets ended in the green, and the Nifty sitting comfortably above the 50 and 100-day moving average. And today as well, we're not waking up to any specific negative cue. In fact, we have a positive cue in terms of the monsoon that the Met Department has said that there's 97% probability that for the 3rd straight year, we might have a normal monsoon.
Absolutely, and more importantly, you know, from Wall Street also there are good cues coming in. And apart from the fears which have abated, earnings, they've been fairly good. The likes of JB Hunt, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch. So 3 financial companies have reported good numbers. And Netflix, post-markets, they reported the numbers. The stock was flat during market. Post-market, after hours, the stock is up about 5% because they added 2 million new subscribers. Wonder how many of them came from India. But let's take a look back at what happened yesterday on the Wall Street. Markets continued their strong run for the 8th consecutive day. The Nifty conquered that 10,500 mark for the first time after 6 weeks. And Sensex too hit a century. Remember, they opened lower while we saw a sharp recovery in the second half of trade. But the rupee, that one's a bit of a worry. Weakened to 6-month low of 65.46 to the dollar. How are the cues stacked up today? Well, Anisha joins us to give us all those details. Morning, Anisha.
Morning, Mangalam. But yes, as you mentioned, the Sensex and the Nifty have gained for the last 8 consecutive sessions. The Nifty now comfortably above the 10,500 mark, as you mentioned, above the 50 and the 100-day moving average. Yesterday, the Bank Nifty also participated, as well as the outperformance came from the mid-cap space as well, because that index was up around 0.8%. However, if you look at the cash market data, that suggests that the cash selling, the selling by the FIs in the cash market continues, because they have sold around 300 crores in the cash market. The DIIs, which had been pumping in money, yesterday at least had a sell figure of a paltry 30 crores, but still a sell figure as far as the DIS net sell is concerned. But it was the post-close comment that came in from the US Secretary of Defense that really helped the market sentiment globally, because he said that the strike on Syria was a one-time shot, and that is what really helped the US market as well, because remember, the Dow gained over 200 points and the S&P as well as the Nasdaq gaining almost 0.7 to 0.8%. Also, the sentiment was aided by better than expected earnings. We saw good earnings come back from Bank of America, JB Hunt Transport, so that also lifted sentiments as far as US market is concerned. Now, the Asian markets today, well, in early morning trade, they were trading in the green, but as of now, all of them mostly are trading with a cut of anywhere between, flat to a 0.1% cut is what we are seeing in the Asian markets. The SGX Nifty, for starters, was suggesting a 10 to 15 point downtick. But for today, the important cues that are lined up, well, geopolitical tensions are, of course, taking forefront. And in that scenario, all these meet of the prime ministers and premiers are what is the world watching out for. So, Prime Minister Modi will visit the United Kingdom beginning today for a 3-day visit. Other than that, President Donald Trump will host the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe for the 3rd summit, which is a 2-day summit yet again. Other thing to watch out for is the important data coming out from China, which is expected around noon Indian time. We are expecting the Q1 GDP as well as the March industrial production data to come out, something that the world is watching out keenly for. In terms of the domestic cue, I think the most important cue for the day would be that Met has called that a normal monsoon might be there for the India for the 3rd straight year. There is a group of ministers meet as well for GST, and in terms of levels to watch out for, 450 to 500 on the downside, and on the upside, 10,580 to 600 is the level that we can watch out for, Mangalam.
All right, Anisha, that's as far as the index is concerned. Individual stocks?
Well, yes, a lot of stocks that are in news, and starting with Fortis, that continues to be in news. Now, they have a board meeting on April 19th where they will discuss the bids and fundraising and restructuring. As of now, they say that they have taken no decision on IHS's offers as well. Moving on to Lupin, wherein one of their arms has got a tentative US FDA nod for testosterone. Other than that, Cipla, something that we had reported yesterday, that they have got their inspection done for the Indore facility, and there have been no major observations that have come out, and that is what the company has said again. Other than that, Shobha Limited might be in focus because they have started a new venture in Gujarat, and this might be with an investment of around 500 crores in the gift city. Binani Cement, Dalmia, Ultratech, they will be in focus because remember, there's another hearing in NCLT Kolkata today. There was a hearing yesterday as well. which got adjourned to further today. Other than that, Blue Star will be in focus because they have signed up a partnership with Saudi retail company for distribution of its products in Saudi Arabia. So that comes as a positive as well. RCom, the company, is saying that there is no legal restriction on sale of their spectrum and the sale process is going on as expected. So that should aid sentiment a bit. UCO Bank, that one was down about 10% at one point of time yesterday regarding some reports with the ex-UCO Bank CMD being involved in some 600 crores case, but the bank has said that there is no material impact, and that should probably aid the sentiment a bit today. SBI also says that the CBI has requested presence of CEO and a dealing officer from Frankfurt. Now they're saying that this would not have material impact on SBI, but it might just impact the sentiments a bit today. Other than that, Antec Auto, they have submitted a resolution plan with NCLT for approval. ICICI Bank, wherein CRISIL has reaffirmed its rating, so it should aid sentiment there. Jai Bharat Maruti, the revenue have been flattish, but the profits have been a bit mixed, so let's see what the reaction on that one is. LKP Finance, a good set of number coming in with the profit growing to 18 crores versus just 3 crore last year, so that should definitely be taken as good news. Other than that, CNBC TV18 exclusive sources say that the ED has begun seizing equity held by Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksi, maybe something that will aid the banking sentiment. Goa Carbon, they have resumed operation at one of its unit, that should be taken positively. And lastly, Bajaj Electricals, a good news coming in there, 3600 crore order that they have got from the government. And aluminium stocks will also be in focus, given that you mentioned about Rusal having to cut down its production and the value of aluminium going up by around 5% intraday as far as the London exchange is concerned.
All right.
India will experience third successive year of normal monsoon. That is the forecast coming from the Indian Meteorological Department. Clarifying on the monsoon conditions, IMD said that they expect 97% chance of a normal monsoon this year, and that they also expect La Nina to turn neutral before the monsoon season. Manisha Gupta joins us now with more details on that. Manisha, good morning. Take it away.
Well, thank you so much for that. Yes, 97% of a long period average is what the Met Department has forecasted. And they also have said that there is a maximum probability of a normal monsoon and a very low probability of a deficient monsoon. So there is a bit of a confidence, as you said, in their statement as yet. But remember, this is the first forecast. On when the monsoon will actually onset is something that they will come out with on May 15th. And the second forecast now would only come in the month of June. And as you pointed out, yes, this is the third year of normal monsoon. It has been a good or favorable monsoon for India in the last couple of years as well. And the good point is that you are looking at critical kharif crops this time around, like pulses, oilseeds, rice, maize, jowar, etc. So it has started on a positive onto that one. Apart from that, also another good point is that if you look at the northern India, the water reservoirs are holding only 20% of their capacity. So a normal monsoon, a pre-monsoon showers is something that would bring relief to much of North India as well, which is as of now tackling a heat wave. So absolutely good news, a good initial forecast coming in from the IMD in sense of normal monsoon there.
All right, so the third straight normal monsoon. Thanks a lot, Manisha, for bringing us that news. We also spoke with KJ Ramesh, the Director General of the IMD, and he said that the IMD has ruled out any chance of deficient monsoon this year. Important comments. Listen in.
We are discussing about El Nino conditions, Pacific temperature conditions and the Indian Ocean conditions because they are more prominently known drivers of variability. But there are other factors, drivers of variability, and then keeping those factors in mind, we feel that it will be normal to above normal category scenario is more likely to happen, and the possibility of deficit we have clearly ruled it out, and that's how we said it will be 97 plus minus 5%.
So how much sure are you about above normal rainfall during the June and September? Not above normal. We are not talking about that. We feel that it will be in the normal range. Normal range is 96 to 104. That's what we feel, that monsoon rainfall is expected to remain within that range. That is the punchline first. And then our assessment of within the normal range, the quantum is 97%. Okay. How much impact do you see of the rainfalls this time on the economy and the agriculture side?
No, we feel that a good distribution of rainfall should prevail as a season as a whole, and that's why I am telling that it should be good, very good for Indian agriculture as it has been for 2016 and 17 seasons.
Okay, we also spoke to economists of what they make of the monsoon projection and the impact on the Indian economy. Listen into what they had to say.
It's not something which one gets very happily excited about. It's more on the cautious side, let's put it that way. One is waiting for more details, particularly the regional forecasts which they've given. I think policy should be definitely preparing that you might need a second round of seeds in the dry regions. They should, you know, I mean, these things don't come into agriculture, but they cause a lot of human misery. We've had in the Deccan Plateau and so on, we've had bad rains up till now. So there's going to be a drinking water problem, and policy has to work on that.
What 97 means for me is that this is slightly lower than what I was expecting on the basis of what I've been hearing both from the IMD as well as what, say, the SkyMet put forward earlier this month. Essentially, the problem this year is that we are at the moment in a neutral state for most of these, whether it's the Indian Ocean Dipole or it's the ENSO. However, at the moment they're neutral, but they might get worse towards the end of the monsoon season.
All right, so the short point being that there is lesser chance of a rainfall deficit and more chance of a normal rainfall. In fact, we have Manisha with us. Manisha, you gave us the good news with regards to the monsoon, but commodities, what's your sense?
Well, in the commodities as well, the good news continues in case of the metals as a sector, because we did see gains yesterday in all time zones, and Asia seems to be holding firm. Of course, it is going to be the China GDP first quarter numbers that would give you further direction. But at this point in time, you still are looking at the aluminum prices continue to gain firm. Remember, we did see a 6-year highs being touched on Friday, and we seem to be holding around those levels. After Glencore, it is Rio Tinto that has declared a force majeure on certain contracts. Remember, Rusal holds 20% in the Rio, Australia refinery, and with the kind of sanctions that we have seen come in on Russia from US, that really seems to be impacting this commodity. China GDP, as I spoke about earlier, is likely to be strong despite the government crackdown on financial risks, the environment pollution controls that they have been pushing in. Even after that, the markets do anticipate that we are going to look at a good number, and the demand for commodities, the growth in sense of industry and consumer durables is something that would continue to be positive. A quick word on the crude oil prices, and they have continued to soften as tensions in the Middle East have waned. And remember, the crude oil prices had run up 10% in the run-up to the strike, but we have seen that kind of go away. Of course, there is uncertainty as far as you look at the potential sanctions, the White House uncertainty, China trade, etc. But there is a bit of a softening that you are looking at crude oil prices in this week.
Okay, Manisha, thank you for that. We will watch out for the China GDP number for further cues for the commodity space.